Hello, welcome to Prime Site. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how I make my distilled water and also the rest of my hydrosols, and I hope you've been enjoying the DIYs I've been sharing. Today this is DIY 7 and we still have some more to go. Anyways, I have this water distiller and also another one for hydrosols and essential oils, but I really like to use this one that I manually made. I really don't know why, but it seems a lot easier for me. And I also kind of think that I have more yield whenever I use this manual distiller. Okay, so I used my pressure pot here and I'll just show you how I set it up. Now I bought this big pressure pot just like this as a pressure pot here, and so I'm using it basically as my distiller and no longer, although I can still use it as my pressure pot because it's not totally configured into a distiller. So yes, I can use this as my distiller, and I can also use it as a pressure pot. Okay, so here is a knob. It has a hole, and so I'm going to remove this knob here. It actually came with the pressure pot, so what I did was to go look for another piece of it so that I can easily change from pressure pot to a distiller. Okay, I'll show you where I use the other piece for. So this is the hole from the pressure pot where the steam comes out from. So that was where they used the knob to cover, but I have actually removed it, and so I'm going to reconnect it to the second piece of knob that was used to construct this setup. Okay, so please don't laugh at my manual setup, because the more you are laughing, the more I'm having my distillate. The aim is actually for me to get my distillates, no matter how I achieve this. Okay, so let's go back again. Now this is the second piece. Like I told you, I bought two pieces. This is one in my hand, and this is the other one that was used to connect the stuff. So the one I used to connect into my bucket is already permanently fixed there. So that is why I had a second knob in case I want to use the pot as my pressure pot. So I'm connecting the knob from the knob that is attached to my bucket now to my pressure pot, and I'm sealing up from the under. I don't know if you understand this. I really couldn't make a clearer video because I did this in the night, but I will try my best to make another video which I believe would be more clearer. So here's the connection in my bucket. The wire coil is actually coiled in my bucket, and this will allow the passage of steam from the pressure pot down to the bucket where it will be cooled, because we're going to be having some water in it, and where it will be cooled, and then it will come out from this other copper wire at the other end. So the process is quite simple. I'll add in some water into my pressure pot and cover, and then I'll allow the steam to come out. So this is similar to the normal distiller setup that you have in your laboratories, where you have your water heater, and then you have your condenser where the hot vapor condenses back to liquid, and then you have the funnel where it passes out from the condenser down into your collecting material, and there you have your distillate. So all you do is, if you cannot connect or construct this by yourself in the house, you may want to ask a plumber or an electrician, especially those who repairs refrigerators, to help you because of the copper wire, and then a plumber can help attach the tap to the bucket where you can remove hot water from after it's too hot to cool the vapor. Okay, so I don't know if you understand till this point. However, let's see how this works. Now we're set up already. I'll simply go ahead and put some heat, and then we'll wait for our water or whatever is in the pot to start boiling. Once it starts boiling, the copper wire start getting hot. The water vapor from the pot or pressure pot, whatever, starts. There is nowhere for the water to escape, so it follows through the copper wire. So if you also have your plant materials in your pot or your pressure pot, it's still going to pass through the same phase. It will heat up, and then the essential nutrients or whatever starts filling up the vapor, and then it will follow through the copper wire down to the copper wire is hot, the vapor is also hot, so we need to cool it down in order to get water back. If not, it's going to come out as vapor, and it will be lost into the air. So this is normal science, but you don't need to be a science student to actually understand what I am doing right now. Okay, so let's take a look at my bucket. I already have water in it, awaiting the hot vapor from the boiling pot, from the pressure pot, to start coming out. So once the water starts coming out, it will pass through this copper wire here down. So let me just get a collecting material and place it right here, awaiting our distillate from this whole experiment. Now see, after the water start boiling, that water start coming from the copper wire. Now it's boiling from here. If you look closely, you will see some vapor trying to escape from there. That's because I didn't tighten up the knob, and I can't do that right now because the pot is hot. So here is my condenser, and as you can see, it's already bringing out smoke, meaning that the copper wire is already hot. So once it gets too hot, the water dropping here will stop dropping because the vapor will start escaping as vapor and not as water. So what we do here is to try as much as possible to keep this place cool. And so I take in some ice blocks and place them here to keep this phase cool, so as to cool down the vapor and then turn it into water, which we then fetch out from our collecting container. I hope this is quite understood. Now these ice blocks will melt really fast because the water is hot. Now see how fast this is dropping. This was really fast. Now see what we already have here, unlike the normal process of collecting distillate from using the pot and all that. I kind of like this setup, so if you can have one of these in your house, you'd love it. And why I like it too is because you can use this for your personal distillate, and you can also use this as commercial distillate. All you have to do is to get a bigger pressure pot. So once the water in my bucket is hot again and the ice blocks are melted, I'll just come here and fetch out the water, because you can't just continue adding blocks to it. The water will become too hot and the blocks will make no use. So you just have to remove the water and then you fetch in new cold water into the bucket. This way you can keep this place cool as possible. So this is basically the only work here that makes it manual. You just have to keep changing the water, making sure that the water is not too hot, making sure that there are still ice blocks in the water, and making sure that the vapor are not escaping as vapor, but instead they are cooling down into distillate. So this is my distilled water, and so this is my distilled water, 100% pyrogen free and suitable for your cosmetic production, use of battery or whatever that you would want to use distilled water for. Okay, so in this same vein, I'll show you quickly how I make the remaining of my hydrosols. Today I'll be making rose water and my favorite cucumber hydrosol. So I didn't have these videos very well, but just know that I placed my rose water, my rose buds in my pot, inclusion of the rose petals and the rose buds. Okay, so I had so much of them and I had a lot of water in it, and so they are really very fresh. Okay, I used both the petals and the buds because I really want everything that the rose has to come here in the water. Okay, and so I followed the same process with the distilled water I just finished making, and then I had a whole lot of rose water. I had this cup full, like I was really happy, and that is why my rose water is really fresh. If you buy rose water from me, you would definitely love it. Now let me tell you a little secret about the rose water you buy in the market. Not everyone distill their rose water like this because it's not easy and it's expensive. The rose and the buds and everything, the petals, they are quite expensive. So what they do is get distilled water and add some rose concentrate flavor to it, and it smells like rose water. Don't tell anyone I said this, but that is what most people do and bottle up and sell to the market, and it's quite cheap. Because if you check this, rose water is not supposed to be cheap at all, because rose buds and rose petals are quite expensive. So this is why you should either distill them yourself or you buy from a trusted supplier or manufacturer. And also note that rose water is always transparent in color. It is not pink in color. It is never pink in color. However, let's move to our cucumber hydrosol. Yeah, I have lots of cucumber. I use lots of cucumber when I'm making cucumber hydrosols because I do not add water to my cucumber hydrosol. So I cut them in pieces, and the next thing I do is to blend them evenly. I'm sorry about my filming and my video. I only took clips. I never had intention to bring this up here on YouTube. But I did this because of some of my fans here who has requested for this. So yeah, after blending, I poured my blended cucumber into my pressure pot, and this was how I kept blending and adding to my pressure pot until I had my pressure pot full to the brim. So like I said, I didn't add any more water to the cucumber because cucumber has a lot of water on its own. So I'm going to be distilling fresh cucumber water straight from the cucumber plant. So I followed the same method like I said in the distilled water and then the rose water, and I got lots and lots of cucumber distillate. So in like 2 hours or less, I already had 5 liters, and in like 3 hours I already had about 10 liters of my hydrosols. I hope you find this video helpful. If you did, please give me a thumb up and subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for stepping by to watch this video, and I hope you stay tuned for the remaining DIYs.